Hey there, welcome to What Works Wednesday. Today I'm going to be talking about strategies, tips, and tricks so that you can be great at high ticket selling. Welcome, so glad you're here. I'm Jennifer Diepstraten. Join me weekly at 10:30 a.m. Pacific for What Works Wednesday. If you have questions about high ticket selling, put your questions in the comments so that I know what it is that I can help you with. All right, so today I wanted to talk about how do you add value in your strategy session or your sales consultation and make sure you have time to make your offer at the end of the conversation. So I was just speaking with a woman yesterday and she said she did 12 strategy sessions in a row. She had no sales. She was pretty bummed about it. And I asked her, I said, what's going on? What do you feel like is happening there? And she said, well, when I speak, people get a ton of value and I can sell right from the stage. So she's one of those people who's really honed her talks. She can sell straight from a stage, which is an amazing ability. Now, that's not for most people. A lot of speaking places where you speak, you're not going to be able to make an offer from the stage. And so what you need to do is you need to bring people into a private one-on-one call, like a strategy session or a sales consultation. And she said, what's happening for me is that I got on the phone with these people and a lot of them wanted to ask me questions, pick my brain. They wanted to know all of the things that I knew. And she said, and I wanted to give them value. I wanted to show them how much value I could provide. And a lot of them ended up saying, thanks, that's awesome. I'll try that. Goodbye. So if you've ever been there where you're trying to show the value, you're trying to help people, and they're either they think that they've gotten all that they need, they've had their pick their brain session with you, and then they hang up, or you simply run out of time. You've showed them the things that are not working, and then there's no time to make your offer because you've spent the whole time teaching them or helping them. This is where you want to tune into. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. How do you show value and still make the sale? Make your offer and make a great sale. So here's the first thing to notice. The first thing to notice is what are you thinking you have to do to add value? Most of us, especially for coaches or consultants, we are trying to teach or educate or even diagnose what's going on for this person. So this happens to a lot of my medical people, my healers and my nutritionists and fitness people spend so much time getting into the questions of what is wrong that instead of using a mind that is designed for sales and making a difference in a strategy session and helping people that way, we're actually moving into diagnosis mode. It happens for coaches, healers, all kinds of people who are trying to sell something of service. So notice when you're trying to add value, are you getting into diagnosis mode? And those are the kinds of questions you would ask really after they bought and you were doing an intake. Are you in education mode, trying to teach? Maybe you're in coaching mode. You're asking coaching type of questions. So all of those things are pitfalls that a lot of people will fall into when they're in a strategy session. And what I want you to take away from this piece of this conversation is that the strategy session is not about diagnosing, educating, or coaching. Okay, it's not about diagnosing, educating, or coaching. A strategy session is designed to see if and how I can help you with the problem you have at hand. Okay? And so the pitfall is that you'll fall into trying to diagnose, coach, or educate because you're trying to add value. So that brings us to the next point, which my people will often ask me is, Jennifer, how do I add value? If I'm not coaching, I'm not diagnosing, and I'm not educating, how do I actually provide value on a strategy call? Doesn't it become all about me? So here's what really works is to notice that the value that you're providing is actually done through the clarity that you provide, through the questions that you ask. Okay? So you can write that down. The value that you provide is done or is given through the clarity you provide because of the questions that you ask. So yes, in diagnosis and coaching, are we asking questions? Yes. In the strategy session, we're still asking questions, but we're asking different kinds of questions. Okay? And when you ask great questions, clients will sell themselves right into your product or service because they have clarity about what their issue is. So let me give you an example. Have you ever noticed that you're confused about something, you're trying to work something out, can't figure out what is the right direction to go in, and it's sort of a jumbled mess in your head, right? It happens. And when you have somebody who you can talk it out with, who asks you really great questions, you start to see, wait, so my question is really this, not that. I thought I was curious about this, but it's actually I'm curious about that. In the process of asking questions, you get clarity. Or in the process of the other person asking you questions, you get clarity, right? So 50% of gaining the answer to something is in knowing what the question is. That is actually the value you're providing for your client in the strategy session. If you're asking great questions to help them see what is the issue, and you're the expert. So here's a really good example. I have a woman that I was speaking to a couple of days ago, and she was thinking about coming to a course that I'm teaching. And I said to her, well, what are you considering? And she said, well, I really want to come, but I feel like I'm busy and I have a lot of other things on my plate, and so I'm not sure how to prioritize it. And I said, I totally understand. Like, you want to come, but you don't know how to prioritize it. And I said, so let me ask you a couple questions if I may. And she said, sure. And I said, if you were to come to the event, what would you want to get from being there? Like, what would be worth it to you that you would take those 3 days and spend that time working on this particular skill set? And she said, well, what I would want to get from being there, and what I know I would get from being there, is I would see a way to charge more for what I do. And I know that I would have a lot more confidence in strategy sessions, and I would be able to sell a lot more. And I said, okay, great. If you had a lot more confidence, were able to close more, and do better in your strategy sessions, what would that make available? And she said, well, what that would make available to me is I would really supercharge my business. I would be able to do so much more. I'd have money to pay for all these other things. I'd have a lot more confidence. I'd really have a real business. And I said, great. And if you had a real business, what would you do then? And she said, oh my gosh, well, I would make a bigger difference for people. I would go out and I would talk to these partners or affiliate partners that I'd never talked to before because I felt kind of shy. And so I said to her, so what you're saying to me is, if you took these 3 days and invested them in this particular manner, you'd have more confidence, you would sell more, you'd be better at strategy sessions, you'd immediately make more money, your business would be real, and you would have money to pay for other things, and you would be able to approach bigger partners and make a bigger difference in the world. And she said, well, when you put it that way, it's obvious, right? So can you hear how, because of the questions that I asked, the clarity about what it is that she wants, what it is that she's really after came out in the conversation? That's what you can do too. So what I want you to do is, in the next strategy session or sales consultation you have, I want you to notice, just simply notice, are you going down a diagnosis path? Are you going down an education path? Are you going down a coaching path? If you notice that you're doing that, you just pause and ask yourself, what could I ask this person that would help them to either clarify their issue better, or that would help me to understand what's going on with them better? Okay, those are the kinds of questions that you want to ask in your strategy session that will keep you from going, off on some other road. That really does not provide as much value as you helping this person to understand what is the issue at hand. Remember, 50% of getting to the answer is understanding what is the question. That is what you're going to do because you are the expert. Only you can ask those great questions because you have that level of expertise. Okay, so hope that helps. And that's the main thing. I wanted to add one other thing is that when you provide that kind of value in a strategy session, the key to knowing if you're asking questions as opposed to going down diagnosis mode or coaching or education mode is the other person should be talking about 75 to 80% of the time. You're going to ask a question and then you're going to not say anything. You're just going to not say anything and let them answer. And in that process, a lot of times when you're asking those right questions, the other person will sell themselves right into what you have. What you will do really is you'll have earned the right, because of your great questions, you will have earned the right to make an offer. And that person's ears will be really tuned in to what you have to say. So I hope that helps you today. That is what you need to do to add value on a strategy session and still have time for your offer on What Works Wednesday. If you have questions, please post them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And also be sure that you're on my upcoming training, which is Monday. It's April 3rd at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can meet me right here on this Facebook page. I'll be live streaming it here. Or if you want to ask me questions personally, you can dial in. I put the dial in number at the top of this, in this post so that you can ask questions live. All right. That's it for What Works Wednesday. Have a fabulous day. Bye for now.